Pep, are you excited for more Ace Attorneys? Are you excited, Pep? Pep is asleep, so she's not very excited for Ace Attorney. I am. No one's here yet, though, so I'm not starting yet. Very strongly there. I'm just waiting for people to show up. I didn't think it would actually open the credits as in like a credits thing. I like that it doesn't even show myself on here, because I do have the stream open. I should check to make sure everything's sounding alright, because I have no one else to do that for me. Well, there's very aggressively the sound of me moving around, so I gotta keep that to a minimum. Should I, well, I'm playing the first game, so it's not gonna show up. Let's look at it, though. I don't like that outfit. It's still kinda ugly, but it's better, and also it has Chinosuke on there. No Chinosuke on there. Chinosuke just hanging out. How much time I'm gonna give this before I give up on waiting for people and just start playing the game by myself? Mm, is until 20 minutes elapsed time too pessimistic or too optimistic? Probably should have announced the stream sooner because I was planning on doing it since like yesterday. Then I didn't. What was I saying? I looked at something else completely and then I just forgot what I was in the middle of saying. I plan on doing this stream since like yesterday, but I didn't tell anyone. I said I might do the stream to someone like earlier today, and then I just now announced it that I'm anyway. In the background I am talking about MILFs, sorry. No one's here to apologize to, besides anyone who may be watching the VOD, which I don't think people ever watch the VODs of my streams, which is understandable. Though, I recommended watching is the stream in which I literally fell asleep and you can just hear me snoring for hours. Oh boy. Rent. What does this mean? What is being rent? Well, since I don't know what Von Rent is, and technically there's no one here, just gonna continue waiting until 20 after to actually start the game. Two more minutes. Looking at my YouTube videos, I forgot that I did face cam for one of these streams. It was a very short one though. The other stream longer when I was on Twitch. I should have started streaming earlier. At like, could have done like 5 maybe. But I fell asleep. Anyway, it's 20 past, so as promised, I'm going to now start where I left off, even though I am alone. Alright, where was I going? What's this? Ah yes, they're displayed in this cabin too. Look, the SS Beria's rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized she needed to keep the contents of our case a secret after she read this. Let me see if I remember where we left off, because I think where I left off, that was the stream that I fell asleep on. Court record. What do we got? Wait, Sherlock's older than Hosonaga? That, I didn't know that. He's only 3 years younger. Nothing very interesting in the history, and that, I guess, sheds light on what the plot has been so far. Your special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Steven Stroganoff doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh, yes, so do I. Chisato, that's very dark. All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one. Do you think that's the god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though. Exactly the same as the bookcase next door. In Kazuma's cabin. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase? I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. Must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage? Not everything bad that happens on this ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight in here, too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. Oof, honey, you've got a big storm coming. Well, that's very polite of her, I guess. There's just a few books on the desk. Nothing else by the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. I've seen that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask so much of people. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that. Oh, that's genuinely startled me. Oh my, Miss Pavlova's case is open. It's completely empty inside, but according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret. So yeah, I guess we found out that she has been keeping a little pet inside of her suitcase. I don't know if we know it's a pet, but I mean, it's something. Because you're not allowed, okay, yeah, animals, yeah. Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard and just for, yeah. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? There's one of these next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin too. Yes, it's bell cord. I can't resist. Oh, Susato. She barely hesitated there. She gave it a good tug too. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are very thirsty people. Or because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet? I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san? I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Shall I have a little look and see what's been thrown away? Naruhodo-san! It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Ugh, those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly, we have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. I got distracted. I've said this before, but the one thing that Danganronpa has over this game is that you can see what all is highlightable. But I feel like that's everything in here. No, that's not everything in here. This ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door. Yes, although what a fool shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room. Ah, maybe it's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. That is a possibility. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. I mean, that didn't give us any information. Yeah, I think that's everything. Okay, what's there to examine out here? Choo choo. Oh, it's you. Hey there, guy. Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look. Wow, you never know where he's going to turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. Tra-la-la, leer-a-leer-a-lay, I did it the great detective way. That's definitely exactly how he's singing it. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times I'm sure you knew when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky her luck was about. Excuse me? I solved it all and I said It is the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! Oh, that was way too loud. What is it? You want to fight? Wow, let him go. Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I was just about to reach a comeback to finish. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now is as good a time as any. Fairly named, drop you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away? Get that rotoscoping, yeah. Punch it, dude. Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in the study of the ship's log as penned by the stockily built crewman who's usually on guard here. Oh yes, the ship's log. And did you find out anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of entries were blank. Which means that there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Observe the other pages and all shall become clear. It would seem the same crewman stands sentry in this first-class passageway, and he has almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes? Nothing to report. Precisely. Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean... Yes. There were circumstances afoot last night which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file. The ship's log has been entered into the court record. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sholmes, brilliance. Ooh, ouch. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason, nothing more. Well, my friends, until our next encounter. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders down the passageway. I don't really have a voice for Sholmes. I mean, I don't really have a voice for anyone. I'm like trying to do like slightly different inflections for Ryunosuke and Susato, but I don't, since it is just literally just me talking to myself, I don't really want to like go all out and giving everybody distinct character voices. Something wrong, Susato-san? You seem lost in thought. All alone? It's just, well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too? Anything else in here? It's funny how quiet it gets when there's not a great detective around to chat. Miss Pavlova's cabin. This could be her chance. What? Where the sailors appear to be around at the moment, but we already went in there. I'm not sure if we can go that far, but we could certainly do with looking around more. Sure? What? Huh? Ding-a-ling-ling-ling-ling-ling. Ah, what's that? Shut down the engines immediately! Vessel sighted a quarter-mile fore! Full stop! Hard to starboard! All hands brace for impact! What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. What? I can't stand... Chisato-san, hold on to me! Chisato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san. It looks like we avoided a collision. I think... Yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you, Naruhodo-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Hello, is anyone in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Sure, it definitely sounded like him when I said that just now. Is that you in there, Naruhodo-san? Unbolt the door, quickly. What? The bolt? Look at that. The door's bolted. Did you do that, Chisato-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... And look at all the books. They're just like they were before again. Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I better tidy this place up first. We have to. A violent emergency stop had solved one mystery at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. To be continued. Well, it's been 38 minutes and no one's here. But we trudge on anyway. 9th January. That's my birthday. It's my birthday. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Chisato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt. You, what are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming, crew are running everywhere. This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah! You wicked intruder, dressed all in black, you are the devil! Sorry? Me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my traveling case! How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector! Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man? Da, and he has stowed away as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Take him away. He is a trespasser as well as everything else. stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are a devil. It doesn't look good, does it? There is a cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. What is born go? Is this just random spam things? Are spam bots finding my birthday stream? Because that's very rude if so. This is terrible. You said it, Sato. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Well. Hey lady, can you clear things up? Miss Pavlova, can I get out? Listen, I'm sorry that we snuck in here without your permission, but get out now. We just needed to investigate in here to help understand what happened to Russian. Ugh, it's no use. She's not going to listen. Need to find someone who will. You've got yourself into a difficult situation here. By entering this cabin uninvited, I mean. Sorry, I was just desperate to find a clue. I'm afraid there's really nothing more I can do to help you. If I push my luck any further, a punch to the face will be the least of my worries. I'm really sorry. I have to take responsibility for giving you the freedom to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin. Now this has happened, I'll have to report to the captain at once. I really need some help here. I need a savior to rescue me from this crisis. I mean, hey guy, please just give me a little more time. I do nothing for you, except show you a way to ship's prison cell. Thanks, but no thanks. But I'm innocent. I didn't kill anyone. And trespassing and stowing away. No, you know, sometimes life can lead you down some unusual avenues and, well... Enough! You are guilty. Ship's cell is the only place fit for you. Come on, there has to be someone. Some savior to rescue me from this crisis. If I turn around, it's Sherlock Holmes. Yep. Ah, boy. What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Jones? Okay. That is a look for sure. Naturally, I was this is just a lot. This is a lot. Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Haven't I told you that as a detective it is my business to know what other people do not? This is a mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before, then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of 20,000 rubles, naturally. If I wish to determine if it would have been that conceited-looking hook on the wall so full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. Ah, you again, the great detective. Ah, Inspector, I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is to report? Speak. An urgent report from the great detective can mean but one thing. Oh, look, there's a person on the broadcast now. Is it a standby? We'll see. Yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Buria. Oh, the person's gone now. Has been solved. By me, naturally. But we just solved the murder. And now the person's gone. They won't get to see who did the murder. What? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to eliminate all your minds. For I'm about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Ha! You have solved it? Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is a stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories. Da! Locked room. That is point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You're all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there's another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man. Ventilator. Ha 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 ha. You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? That was such an awkward delivery, Kazuma-sama. 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madam. What does it mean? What is the speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There's a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I am about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold. Ag! Ag! What the... Well. Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the speckled band. A snake? Indubitably. You took the words right out of my mouth. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? Looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? Heh heh heh. You both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think That is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall. Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it's time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one. Number two. That same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. He's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Man, I gotta type some things. Hi there. Anyway, Holmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi? Huh? Looks like he can't speak with that snake coil around his head. Often, where did the snake come from? I feel like that's concern. Are we not going to talk about the origins of the snake yet? I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You won't do other things with that long friend in your neck. Sorry. I'm mature. I'm 25 years old today. So everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The great deduction. The game is afoot. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. You cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. Inextricable. I sure am saying words. Also, there's something on my TV. It won't come off. I guess it's just there. So I ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in question tell of a speckled band. Hi, Pep. You're kind of interrupting, Mr. Sholmes' deductive logic reasoning theater. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? I gotta say, people tend to be pretty obvious with their tells in this game. No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal, can only be the snake's sloth skin. Evidently, after the sudden horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No? I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slid her next door. Using the bell cord on the other side of the bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appears to the young gentleman that he was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to... As a speckled band? Oh, yes. It appeared as a speckled band to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life. Okay. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change every time it's lost its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Oh, I got a DM from someone. I will address that later. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there are no visible signs of injury. Ah! In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, you can really imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of a snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. Hey Peep, do you want out? When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of the low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend? To train? I've now watched the Speckled Band, what was it? Original Sherlock Holmes, well not original Sherlock Holmes, the Granada Sherlock Holmes. I've watched that episode. So now I know things. There is no point to that little tangent. I just wanted you to know that I understood that reference. Indeed, you'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having flown through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. This concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deductions of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova had trained her pet snake as a killing machine. Hi, Pep. Are you a killing machine? Down the floor, you observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is key to the training of any creature. Creature? Incredible. You've solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Holmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could not have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deduction before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madame. That was definitely madam. Sorry, I'm used to called madame at work. Peppers, get off my keyboard. Also, I should specify about being called madame at work. That's just a nickname my coworker has for me. I'm not like a madame. Anyway, reptiles, don't drink milk. To drink milk, you see. So, I'm not down, Miss Pavlova, use some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. The milk was nearly an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. But madam, what are the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of snakes that dance to the sound of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play the music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There is one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Then it should try hard. Oh, you're really taking the piss out of snakes today. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if a snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. Is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Hi, first person of the stream! Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. This is the prize I have for my birthday. A snake. In Sherlock Holmes. Ooh, my birthday present can do to be the logic and reasoning theater. I love doing that. That's my favorite mechanic. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruto. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruto. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrist again. Very rent and Vorn go to. I'm gonna say that's another language for happy birthday indeed. That's what the bots meant. You've done it again! Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Peppers is making herself very comfortable on my laptop right now. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. This has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Cosmos's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression, then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Oh, claw scratch. Oh, Naruto-san, look. That looks like a very painful wound. Looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too. Well, whatever scratched her doesn't appear to be around here.
Yes!
Yes! Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah! When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel. Was it not? Ah, as expected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. It seems likely that the scratch marks on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruto-san. That's where we'll find the answer. What do we got here? It's Kitty. It's Peppers. Look, Peppers, it's you. Peppers, you're on the video game. Wow, you're famous, Peppers. Ah, look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true, but personally, it's a little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Creature, little creature, little creature. Maybe we better take a closer look at this. Little kitten. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova's cuddling here. Oh, what a cute little kitten. It could vie with you, couldn't it, Naruto-san? For the blackest outfit. A black kitten. And from the looks of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it. Peppers, you have a fan. Peppers, Olivia, or not Olivia, why did I say Olivia? Peppers, Elizabeth says that they love you, and you're a little creature. You little creature. La creatura.
Yes!
Little kitten. without doubt, your friend is that little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah! Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observation of the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, the specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal. It will be the snake's... Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known. Oh, yes, ploys like that are Mr. Sholm's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. That deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? What we got here? What's this? Well, it is speckled and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort, and that looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How's that? Was that Sato when I was reading Naruto's line? Yeah, sorry. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How's that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase a band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Haha, that sounds positively adorable. Cat's toy. Yeah.
Yes!
Yes! Yes, the thing you are trying to, but failing to conceal is, a cat's toy. Precisely, in the true nature of this now infamous speckled band. Ah! And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume? Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After a feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithering Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged what's found. You'll forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. Photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darka has been entered into the court record. It was after I gave her her food last night. Let's see what the... Meow. Meow. Little nose. Little eyes. Oh my gosh, it has little eyelashes. Beans. Beans spotted. We've got beans, everyone. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. Moving on, we come to the heart of this matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? You've completely knocked over my laptop. According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there are no visible signs of injury. Ah! In fact, the circumstance of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right. Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Shit. Cervical spine injury.
Yes!
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury's out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if you take that as fact, you can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. Could have been a terrible act of... Don't talk about Kazuma's cake when he's lying dead on the floor. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? We don't have much from the scene. A scuff mark made from Kazuma's shoes were found by the victim's body, so I guess the...
Yes!
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my result, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match of the color of Mr. Asogi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please, no. And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Osogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your volunteering glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But, and if this part of Mr. Sholm's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. I mean, that's kind of the only thing here, the tiara. Waste paper basket. Well, let's look in there. This is a waste paper. What you get? A waste paper. Well, this is a waste paper. This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
Yes!
That's right, you had the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Ah! Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Osogi's cabin. And, as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? Yeah! You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know, in that hushed Russian accent of yours. Yeah, that Russian accent that I've been doing this whole time. Yeah, won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be... And presumably it's the thing we just got.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from the darkest collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Death by tripping over a cat. Peppers, I blame you. Peppers, you were the murder weapon all along. Deduction complete. Elementary. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast. She disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it? Yes. And I had read the, rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was something, if there's some noise in the cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it was safe to try to lure the kitten back again by dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. I've always loved this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there's nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... Meow! I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then after... nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. Yes, this Burya is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet. A combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. What became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself, at least. When I woke up this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died, but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? Yeah, I've been thinking about that. You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it? And where did it come from? Yeah, please explain. What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on this ship? Oh, I didn't say? Snake is my friend. His name is Proshko. What? What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when an emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend, without someone who understands? Can you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, A gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Roscoe does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He is adorable like Granny. It's venomless? Yes, now he's hungry, so he is in a bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see Big Smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ha! Like they say, they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Perovsky eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses. Oh, so... is that what the mouse trap in the passageway out there is for? Of course, how else is gonna catch my friend's favorite food? It's so hard to not say anything about the mouse right now. Chinosuke. Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. Don't turn the right. Put him back. Put him back. Oh, this is so scary. Why? Your pizza drink milk, you can't hear it most like can't come up well for not even venomous. What the deuce is something so inept late a starting role? Why would his eyes go? But it's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Perovsky has nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. There's a lot of homes going on right now. Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. Love that book series. Isn't that right, Pep? I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Ah, not again. Why did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrist as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. He owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. No, this is not a screen. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah. Sholmes. Sholmes. Peppers, are you seeing this shit? Do you see Sholmes? Do you see Herlock Sholmes? Herlock Sholmes over here? You see this man? Yeah, she just yawned. I don't think she cares. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth of how you really died, about how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What should we ponder first? Oh, what we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kid and that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right here in Cosmo's cabin. It's undeniable. Death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. But really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. Oh boy, I don't remember much of my evidence. Let's take this over the wardrobe for me to use out. No, read it. Restroom for purple. I guess that might be it. Let's hold on. I guess the outstanding mystery is that we have not addressed yet is this thing. The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Shogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Yeah. You know, I wasn't thinking about... I think I just had such high expectations of Asogi that, like, I thought he could totally speak Russian. But I don't know if he can, actually. I see what you mean. Most people leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah! Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So, Sato-san has noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gets the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words... Oh shit, what is it? Did he say it was in Miss Pavlova's cabin? No, Mr. Sogi's cabin. So I guess the,
Yes!
there's a question of how the bell got in there and how the bell left there. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. That's the glass that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw, a fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah! Yes, remember that we found the other half in the glass bell in that waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Sogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yeah. Yes, there's someone else present in Mr. Sogi's... Oh, who's that? Hold it. You're wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only other person in cabin when a young student died was you.
Yes!
Yeah. It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I could have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Ah ha ha ha. Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor. In an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Sogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. A single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? It's Demon Stroganoff. Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of the ship's band. Speckle band. You do not accuse Ship's Angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. That is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, that is almost interesting. Then why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You're a great detective. You should know. Both truth and eyes. Captain Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. You getting up, Pep? Not actually getting up, you're just readjusting yourself on my laptop. Okay. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible. Ugh, he's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. So that's why we've already seen how the bolt closed. I mean, Fred, are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Sato-san, how could you shove it onto me like that? The seaman Shogunov has a valid point. Cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, you can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Time is it? So that was a big yawn. 9:50, that's not too bad. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside? One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Schultz means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Yeah, you should, because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. And I guess they mean the fallen over stuff.
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things of it had toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia acting on the objects. Is there nothing Susato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. Ah! It's very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello? Is anyone in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Oh yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but a small line has to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed? The SS Bear made another emergency stop. When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It's almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You say Burya make emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying the culprit is actually someone from the engine room? Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm? Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you to only press button in times of emergency. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Sorry, Pepper's finally gone off my laptop. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. Sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure that can all wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You're idiots. Buria's a huge ship with many passengers. We make emergency stop, even in middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. Oh good, more spam bots. You have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? I think it's a Russian revolutionary, isn't it, actually? Is it? Oh, I guess it's this.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganov. It's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right? That is correct. Why? In the ship's log here, this would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine. You're rather carelessly left at the top of the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances you write the phrase "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until the first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is... because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write "nothing to report," wouldn't you? Gulp. Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened. Here aboard the SS Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish. If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. And the alarm bell was so loud. You can't imagine it. Peppers. Why? That's a good point. Whatever. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on, I got Hold on, this is important. Up, pep, 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 pep. Sorry, I just gotta, sorry, sorry, yes, whatever, the throbbing. Yes, I am a mature 25-year-old. I have a job in a house and bye. Sorry? What do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Ah! No, it's so funny. Jesus. I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. I need to take a drink of water. Oh, Lord. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right, my head's been throbbing today, too. Pep, 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 pep. Thank you, Pep. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was a throbbing pain in my head. Sorry, I'm still trying to share this. Because oh God, it's so dumb. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo. You ordered this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What do you survive on? Ah, well, Cosmo looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Cosmo wasn't fond of chicken. Oh really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so nobody would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes! Well, Seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made throughout the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help. Everyone together. She threw away everything. Her fame in the ballet. Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I didn't notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. You cannot make all drug. How do you say? Dissolve? Ugh, talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by a comrade on shore of a small fishing boat, while the passengers of the SS Burya slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. That means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes! The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked a long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. Someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But, I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories we don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I'm quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes? Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind? What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No, you must hear it with your eyes, for observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said, of these two Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. It happened. Precisely. You are delightfully equipped to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. Whoa, what's that? Oh, look at this. It's some kind of stain in an unusual place. Yes, you're right. It looks like ink, if I'm not mistaken. Ink. And look at the color, too. It's clear where this came from.
Yes!
Oh, this song bumping. Can't see it, I'm dancing though. Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from. So nothing particular comes to mind about the stain. What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform, and I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what the stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is. Ink is in this photo, right? No, it's not. Okay, well I don't see the ink like well on the picture, but I guess the ink is in this picture, so it counts. Sure. Yes, it's this photograph. The ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink? Rather unusual color of ink, purple. The penny drops, at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Dead Student Cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Burya do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Beef, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Okay, I don't want to take away from the emotionalness of this scene, but visibly this dude does remind me of Terry Falls, and he keeps calling her Angel, and Terry Falls called Dahlia his teen angel, which was weird, and so now I'm like, Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet. Beef, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw a student boy on floor. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. Kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin, and he tripped over and broke his neck when he fell to the floor? Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers. Angel only in the localization here or in Justice for All? Or not Justice for All, Trials and Tribulations? Only to find his occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? Okay. Well, actually that's not more reassuring. Because, well, let's just move on. Let's not think about it. Door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened door of student cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Cosmo's death at last? Ah, something very neatly slipped my mind. Thanks, Sholmes. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. In the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well, I mean, I have no idea, honestly. The Cosmo tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck. Which part of this photographic print seems unnatural? I mean, is it just like the hand? Because, I mean, I feel like we've already established that the guy put the note, or read the thing there, and it wouldn't be weird if he, like, put the finger on afterwards. What else is here? I mean, I'll give it a shot.
Yes!
This word in Russian clearly wasn't written by Kazuma. So if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. Very true. It is certainly peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by a culprit. Okay. So it wasn't that. I'm going to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it would have been most unnatural. I'm sure you'll reach the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you for your gentle guidance. Is it because he fell on his front instead of his back?
Yes!
No. Okay, I get it. I fucked up. I get it. What does he mean? No, it's not that. That particular crash detail is orchestrated by the culprit, blah blah blah. No, I mean to identify another point, blah 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 blah. Easily losing your footing yourself. Would you land as the victim has? What of your hands? What? You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with some regularity. This should be an easy task. Why do I? What? I mean, your hands? Well, is it the hands? Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his right hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Why would I keep you in suspense? I mean, you would. But sure. What is that? This is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Do I have a picture of that? Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Where? Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is key. Is she wearing, like, earrings? Or an earring? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe, find the answer with your own eyes. She has such petite ears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells. Oh, what's that? There's something dangling down from her ear. Yes, that's an earring. Wait. Look. It's a crescent moon. Ah! There can be no doubt now, surely.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I see you have a crescent moon as well. Ah! What? On your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. little link holding it must have broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Sogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Sogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. And then the question is, why did Mr. Osogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin and I could relax after this horrible long day. Meow! Darko, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with the little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy. But nothing worked. Darko would not come back. Knock, knock. Plunk. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. Osogi! Osogi! A young man from your country is very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin... Just a moment, sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah! Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please, please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then... Ew! Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And... as he turned around to look at me... I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when he went to fetch help from Steven Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like a leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Beef. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it, so that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door? Yes. I went to the cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway in wardrobe, still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me. So he worked out a plan to lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back the strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason to stop the Sun started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged the young man's body to a good place and used ink that was spilling right on floor. I wrote so that the person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway? Yes. Accordingly, the SS Viria did come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazum about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland. It's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. Thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, if the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There's one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes. What action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young Can we determine whether a young man's gaze was directed? I'm so sad right now. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still, that cabin has been my home for the entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. Not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at?
Take that!
Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Ah! Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intends to consult his close friend on the matter. See if, between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. No. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova, I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really? I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident of the SS Buria is finally laid to rest. I don't know if it's a side effect of the way I was voicing Pavlova, but I actually have tears coming from my eyes right now. 9th of January, 7:14 p.m. SS Buria, first class cabin passageway. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then? Once she reaches Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wants to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seaman Shogunov? I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Duh. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. Looks like my study toward Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. I think that only days ago Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Chisato-san? I don't have time for you bots! This is a sad moment, it's very serious! Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over. Just like that. Chisato-san. He had such grand ideas for his visit to Great Britain, so many dreams. Now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible, but now we know the truth, that it was just an accident, just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down, and I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now at least. Huh? Ah ha 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 ha. Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo? What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balancing's all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them. For old time's sake, shall we say? You are a stowaway after all. Ah ha 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 ha. He thinks this is funny? Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of your aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be 1 lawyer and 1 assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no, I don't care for me, but... Poor Chisato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is 1 lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there's no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. You know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourself another suitable lawyer. Yes? Mr. Sato? Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah! But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Qualifications, modifications. Who needs to be certified or anything? You can just read a book and you become a lawyer. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. No, I'm not, but I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo? That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. He said there was something he had to do in Great Britain, that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Usato? Yeah. I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? 1 lawyer, 1 assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. It's fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating? Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until this very moment, and now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector, after all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. We need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo, I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Mrs. Sato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single moment of freedom. You shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you, too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked from the inside. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. And not just once, but 5 times? That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take a hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. Oh, no. I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one requires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Jones. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling? Oh, well, in a way. It's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Apparently it's called the Suzato takedown. Lose your head swimming, believe me. I'll be battling. I'm a practitioner of combative arts myself. I'm a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. What if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw? Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Hi-ya! As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed, and that is what you term the Suzato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Suzato squash. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karuma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely? A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karma guides me. I truly believe that. Does Dane compel its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice. Don't mind me. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. And we did it! I did such a big drink of water. Spam bots. Now's not the time. We just finished. So, Runaway Room is next. I mean, it's late now. It's almost 11. And I have work in the morning. So, I might see the opening cutscene of Runaway Room, but other than that, once that's over, I'm gonna end the stream. Let's start playing.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident,
I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude.
the beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure. I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
Well, now we're far ahead of ourselves. Back to title. So that is the end of this stream. We have finished the second case of Great Ace Attorney. First one. This has been like a multiple month long adventure for one single case, and there's been like 4 hours of me sleeping. But thank you for joining me, and both me and Peppers grant you a very friendly goodbye. And we'll see what happens next with Naruto.